Hello, my name is Damilola and you are most welcome to my front room, but more than that, to the KXC Online Midweek edition. This is our space as a community to gather online, to turn our attention towards God and to leave with renewed vision of what He's doing in His world. Today we're going to have an interview between Pete and Ness Wilson of the Pioneer Network of Churches. Ness also leads Open Heaven Church in Loughborough. We are going to reflect on some liturgy provided by Church of the City, New York, specifically created for this time. And we are going to have a devotional thought from our very own Colin Hamilton. But first, let's worship.
I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice, take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice, take joy, my King, in what you hear. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound. Let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. Jesus, Jesus, Holy and anointed one, Jesus, 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 risen and exalted one, Jesus, your name is like honey on my lips, your spirit like water to my soul. Your word is a lamp unto my feet. Jesus, I love you. I love you. Jesus, I love you. I love you. Jesus, I love you. I love you.
Well, Ness, it's such a joy to have you with us. Ness leads an amazing church in Loughborough called Open Heaven. And Ness, we've done a number of these interviews with family, friends, leaders, and people that we track with. And we're asking the same two questions to everyone. Number one, what do you sense the Lord doing in this moment? We're taking Matthew 16, where Jesus says to the Pharisees, you can look at the sky and forecast the weather. Why can't you read the signs of the times? And we see it as part of our task as followers of Jesus to discern what the Lord is up to so that we can trade what we're doing so that we can jump on board what he's doing. And the second question, which we'll get to, is just what are you personally learning in this season? So firstly, based in Loughborough, but then you oversee the Pioneer network of churches, this amazing family of churches. What are you seeing and sensing that the Lord's doing right now?
I guess the main thing is that church is open 24/7. And whereas, before lockdown, church would be at a certain time, certain building, certain kind of place, certain day. And if you missed it, you missed it and you had to wait for a whole week. I just think it's incredible that church is open. It's like the doors of the church are open, the walls are off, and the whole world is invited and is able to watch and join in. And that, I think, is so exciting. And so that's why, all the figures that I'm sure people are familiar with now, 6% before lockdown were accessing church. Now 25% of the UK population are accessing church. And I am... much like you, Pete, I have longed for another great awakening. I've prayed for another great awakening. I've preached for another great awakening. And now it's like, oh my goodness, could this actually be the start of something stirring in our nation again? So that's the thing that I guess I see God doing. And, persecution drove the early church onto the Roman roads, which were like the cutting edge technology of the time. It's why the gospel spread. And lockdown is forcing the church onto the open roads of the internet, like the cutting edge technology of our time. And so the gospel is spreading. We just had just a couple of weeks ago, someone posted on our Facebook page, oh, hi, I came to a baptism a few months ago, one of my friends. I was really impacted by what I saw, and I've been watching your streaming on Sundays, and I just want to thank you for introducing me to Jesus, and I'd love to be part of your community. And so it's things like that of like, oh my goodness, like God is still, at work bringing salvation. So that's really exciting. I think the other thing that really is probably my favourite part of this time is what's happening on our streets. So just the fact that, followers of Jesus are often at the heart of community, connection, cohesion, and all those opportunities. Neighbours have become friends. We now know the names of people who were once just faces. And we're finding it kind of feels like church is developing on the street, whether it's the parties on VE Day, or we've done our road is called Toot Hill Road. We've done a Toot Hill's Got Talent, people videoing themselves and saying, we've done a Toot Hill Bake Off. The guy who runs our corner shop has just totally put himself out there, really gone over and above the call of duty. And so a few of us schemed together and we've raised an amazing amount of money to give to him across our neighbourhood, and we're going to present it with a huge card after the NHS clap. So that for me, it's like kind of, you see, it's like, this is kind of the kingdom of heaven coming to our streets. So I love all of that. I think the other thing that God's doing is it's almost like the scaffolding of church that was perhaps just not necessary, religion, the scaffolding has been dismantled, and actually what's left is what's real, what's sacred, what's really important. And so that excites me it's like we're weaning everyone off the scaffolding of church, and we're placing then personal responsibility for stepping up, self-leadership. I've just heard so many more people developing meaningful rhythms of spiritual formation, which is so exciting for what is to come. And then the last thing that I think I see God doing is in terms of families, and it's always deeply troubled me. The stat about 50% of kids brought up in Christian homes actually don't follow Jesus into adulthood, and what I'm seeing and my prayers are kind of being sown into this is that the lockdown would be the great reversal of that stat. So that actually, I mean, we've just started something which probably other families have done for ages, but we never quite managed it with like the busyness of mornings. But like we're reading the Bible together over breakfast, so just a chapter a day, separate it all out, and
reading in the initial Greek, yeah?
Oh, yeah. With all the commentaries and all of that. But that's like, we've not done that before, and it's partly because we've got time. So that's what I see some of what God's doing.
Can I ask you about the stuff on the streets then? Because as soon as this began, what was so inspiring to B and I, because we've been in WhatsApp correspondence with you, is almost like immediately you were on the streets. You designed that card, and others just stole the language, and loads of churches, because of that response, took your cards and started putting them through letterboxes. But that's developed momentum. Like, what are you doing now? Let's say there's someone lives on a random street here in Islington or London. They're like, okay, I want to start building community. Give us some tips as how you can begin that journey.
Okay, really practically. Okay, I shall be really practical. So I just made like a blank sheet of paper and a map of boxes that represented every house, and thought, okay, so every house where I don't know somebody's name, that's going to be a goal for me. So like on Mother's Day, I put daffodils on people's doorsteps with a little note saying, here's something to brighten your day. And then when I left my phone number. Then when I got messages back, I was then able to find people's names that went with the door number and wrote them in my little map that I had. Right. So that's like a really practical thing. Create a map of your street, of your neighbourhood, and start to fill the boxes in of names, because then when you see those people, you can use their name and, all of that. I think there's something about being a secret pastor of secret congregations. And what does a pastor do? We know people's names, we love people, we encourage people, we know what's going on in their lives, we call the gold out and then we pray for them. So if everyone sees themselves as a secret pastor, so create a map. And then I guess I just then thought, once the WhatsApp group had developed, pretty much in my head, I've had a rhythm of every couple of weeks, let's do something together that creates community and makes life a bit more fun, a bit more joyful. So the first one was the Two Hills Got Talent. And in my mind, I thought that would be a great one to do, because it allows people to shine. It will inevitably create encouragement as people make themselves a bit vulnerable and perhaps do a song, or we had we had someone drumming, we had a poem, we had singing, we had someone do DIY skills, we had a dog doing dog tricks, we had a magician, we had kids doing like recorder and all of that. And obviously, as soon as someone makes themselves vulnerable, records themselves, puts it on a WhatsApp group of a bunch of relative strangers, everybody then piles in with like, yeah, brilliant, so good, love it. So that then created a culture. So in my head, just like I do with church, it's like, how do I create a culture? So a culture of encouragement, a culture of fun. So Two Hills Got Talent was the first thing. Then it was the Bake Off. So that was someone else's idea, but then I kind of sort of developed it. And so it ended up with then cakes. So we ended up with 5 judges. And we deliberately chose one of the judges who was an old guy whose wife had died, and we just really all in the neighbourhood wanted to look out for him. He was the head judge, so he was like Paul Hollywood of our Toot Hill Road. And so he had the casting vote, and so I took photos as all the cakes were being dropped off outside our door. I took them around to the judges, and then built it up on the final day of the competition. I'd like to announce, in third entry, and that was just brilliant. And then after that, it was like, what's the best gif or the best joke of the week?
Yeah.
And then, and interspersed with all the fun, also like on Easter Sunday, just a kind of a message. If anyone fancies church in their pajamas, here's a link to what we're doing on a Sunday. And then obviously when the blessing came out, just a little post, here's something to lift your spirits, so weaving in a little bit of God content into the community activities. And then VE Day was just an absolute brilliant day, street party. And I took photos, sent it to our local newspaper. They then posted it. And so then again, our neighbourhood then sees pictures of us having fun in the middle of our local newspaper. So that then got posted and shared. And then this one at the moment, which is around, I guess, I guess it's more like, we're used to in church, aren't we, honouring people and blessing them and publicly thanking them. And so I've just again taken that cultural concept and put it into our street. So the corner shop guy, everybody has been blessed by him because he's hand delivered groceries to people who are shielding. He's kept the shop open. It means that he doesn't get to see his wife and his kids that much because he's felt really committed to keeping the shop open. And so I knew there would be a huge feel-good factor of people wanting to honour him.
Oh, I love it, and it is so practical. And yet those moments where joy breaks into despair, I mean, that is a taste of the kingdom, and I totally love it. One other question then, because obviously we're experiencing this at a really micro level, like almost like street level, even household level. But this is also like a shared experience globally. So we're being pulled together at a hyperlocal level and a global level. And again, you're experiencing that on your street, but you're also, and I know you'd never use this language, essentially a bishop of a movement of churches, that you're kind of like, you're parenting this kind of family of churches in the Pioneer Network, which is this incredible family of churches that are planting and it's alive. One of the things we're seeing right now is unity, like these denominational barriers, they're being broken down. Who cares what denomination you're in? We need each other as church right now. Just name some of that, your experience of that.
It's like anything, isn't it? Of when we are under pressure or kind of under threat. I think all the stuff that doesn't matter just falls down, and the stuff that really matters gets front and centre. And I think leaning into each other's strengths, recognizing our similarities are so much more than our differences, that and it pleases Jesus when his church is unified. And I just think that it's actually caused us to become more of the church that Jesus wants us to be and can handle another great awakening.
Final question then, Ness. Just personally, like we spoke just before the interview, I mean, these are challenging times for leaders, but just individually, it's a slog at times, isn't it? But what are you personally learning in this season?
Being really honest, my primary emotion during lockdown has been one of frustration. So I think just frustration around how I want to lead, how I instinctively lead. For me, it's all about people and touching people and looking into people's eyes and, and encouraging people and to have the limitations of screen, I found really frustrating. And I'm not good at tech, and so having to learn a lot about something that is it's like having to write with my left hand all the time. That's what lockdowns felt like to me. And being really honest as well with some of those frustrations, I then have been sometimes disappointed at my own reactions. Yeah. So I historically would have characterised myself as quite a patient person, and I found myself impatient with me, impatient with others, and again, being really honest, I've had to do a bit of heart work and just a bit of like, oh God, I'm really sorry. Like some really ugly stuff has come out, and God's always so gracious, but that's been a bit like, like I would have hoped I would have responded or reacted differently in some situations. So I have found it frustrating, and amongst all the excitement and all the good things that God is doing on a personal level, I wouldn't say that I am enjoying lockdown, but I am having to work hard to find the joy that used to come much more readily and easily before.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I think one of the fascinating things is that as we experience whatever our dominant emotion might be, as the grace of God touches that, I feel this, I'm sure you do, that we are being transformed. And it's not always a beautiful process, but we know the outcome is to be more like Jesus. But as grace encounters the mess, there's a reordering. And we're all in that. And I'm sure all of us can relate to what you said. Ness, you're an absolute inspiration. We love what you're doing in Loughborough and the way that you and Rich lead together. It's an inspiration to so many of us. So thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for joining us. Huge love to you, and God bless.
God bless.
A liturgy for those looking for joy. When the world expects sadness, help us, Creator of light, to look for pockets of joy. when the world is overwhelmed by darkness. Give us eyes to see little delights. When the world is caught up in sensationalism, help us speak of the hidden wonders we've discovered, holding them up for others to see. The sacred stillness of the early morning, a quiet moment in the sun, small children laughing on scooters, trees bursting into bloom, and lilies opening at the corner bodega. These small joys reveal the truth of the world we live in. No, there is not peace everywhere, and all pain has not been removed. But there are still people returning home, voices that pray, moments of forgiveness, signs of hope. We don't have to wait until all is well to celebrate the glimpses of your kingdom at hand. Let us not deny sadness, but transform it into fertile soil for more joy. Let us not deny the darkness, but choose to live in the light. Cynics seek darkness wherever they go, but joy is the mark of the people of God. Help us discipline ourselves to choose joy, for the reward is joy itself. Help us renew our minds until they default to joy and not fear, for there is so much to frighten us. Help us to believe that the light can be trusted, for there is so much darkness to mislead us. Jesus, you are both the man of sorrows and the man of complete joy. Help us to hold both sorrow and joy in the ways you've shown us. Help us to remain in your love, so that your joy may be in us and our joy may be complete. Amen.
Hey guys, my name's Colin. I'm an ordinand at KXC, so training to be a vicar. Still got the training wheels on for another couple of years. But today I would love to jump into a little portion of the Bible which I think speaks really well into the moment that we find ourselves in. And it's Matthew chapter 28, verses 5 to 9. And basically this moment, Jesus has just risen from the dead, and Mary and another Mary go to the tomb where he's just risen, and they meet an angel who speaks to them. So let's jump in. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He's not here. He's risen just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples. He's risen from the dead and is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him. Now I've told you." So the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy. And it's that little line at the end which got me thinking. It's like, wow, the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy. Is that even possible? Is it possible to be afraid yet filled with joy at the same time? And it kind of got my mind thinking, and I thought back to the 29th of October 2016. I don't know what you were doing on that day, but it was a lovely sunny day. And I think around 12:30, I was sitting on the front row of a church in Essex. And I was afraid yet filled with joy on that front row, because at any moment my beautiful bride was about to walk down the aisle and we were about to get married. I mean, it was a lovely day. Look at that. Isn't he lovely? And this one's pretty nice as well. That was pretty good too. It was a great day. Absolutely brilliant. And I sat there and I had all my friends and family around. I'd met all the in-laws that I'd never quite met before and did all this. Like, oh, hi, yeah, great. Oh, you're so-and-so, brilliant. Yeah, lovely to meet you. Let's chat later. Really looking forward to it. We'd done all of that. And then came the big moment of marriage, committing my life to someone. My life was about to change forever. Who knows what was about to happen? I mean, I knew Rebecca pretty well by that stage, but I mean, it was still taking a risk. But yet, I was filled with joy. I was filled with the love of Rebecca, the love of our family and friends, the life that we were about to embark on. I was filled with joy, but yet I was afraid because I didn't know what life was about to look like. Needless to say, 4 years on, I'm pretty pleased. Everything's gone really well. Excellent decision all round, I think. But here in Matthew 28, we read of Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, as she gets called, which is pretty savage, isn't it? She just gets known as the other Mary. But they've just encountered the risen Jesus. Jesus has just risen from the dead. And in this moment, everything has changed. Eternity itself has changed because they've just met the risen Jesus. A quick jump in the Bible to Luke chapter 2. It's one of our very favourite verses. Every good carol service has it. If it's not in the carol service, it's not a good carol service. Luke chapter 2 verses 9. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, these are the shepherds, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy." Don't be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy. And in this moment where the Marys are talking to this angel, they're terrified, but yet filled with joy. Their world has just been turned upside down. And to a certain extent, so's ours. Our world right now has just been turned upside down, and there's many reasons to be fearful. What about finances? What about jobs? What about family? What about friends? What about health? What about the future? The list goes on. But this passage tells us that there's a joy to be had. And where is that joy to be had? That joy to be had is in the resurrection, is in the risen Jesus, the joy of the gospel. This Jesus has defeated death, made a way for us to have relationship with God. This joy is available in the midst of our fears. And that's the challenge I want to leave for you today. It's like this joy is available through the resurrection, through relationship with Jesus. Would we be a people who can be afraid yet filled with joy, just like Mary and the other Mary?
Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Where sin runs deep, your grace is more. Where grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. And where you are, So teach my song to rise to you when temptation comes my way. When I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. 'Cause Jesus, you're my hope and stay. When I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. 'Cause Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. We 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 need you. Hearts cry out for you. Oh God, we need you.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. We will be back with next week's Midweek next week. But before that, do join us for our Sunday services, 10 o'clock for children and families, 11 and 4:30 for everyone else. God be with you. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.